So next shape that we are exploring will be circle, the area and the circumference of a circle. So in primary school, all of you learn that the area of a circle is pi r square. In primary school, most of the time you are taking pi as 22/7. But in the O-level standard, pi can be 3.142, or sometimes we will use the calculator pi. Sometimes we will use the calculator pi. You have a pi on your calculator. So sometimes when we say we use the calculator pi, that means I'm using all the numbers that is found on your calculator for pi. Sometimes the question will ask you for the area and circumference, but they will say something about leave your answer in pi. So some of you may not understand what do we mean by leave your answer in pi. That means you are not supposed to press up the value of pi. Okay, so I'm going to show it to you here. But before I show it to you, let's recap the formula first. So area will be pi r square, pi times radius times radius. Okay, so the meaning of pi r square will be pi times radius times radius. For circumference, it will be 2 pi r, or some of you may like to use pi d. So both are okay. So usually you can see what is given to you. Okay, so I will be demonstrating how to get the answer if it's leaving it in terms of pi, or if we got to press up. Okay, so usually I will present it in this way. So in this question, we're supposed to find the area and the circumference. So again, make sure you label. So I'm going to label, I'm going to find my area first. So it will be this is the radius. So according to the formula is pi 14 squared. Pi r squared. So it will be like this. So if you punch calculator, you will get 196 pi. That means you just punch this part. You'll get 196 pi. So this will be the answer if you're supposed to leave it in terms of pi. So if you're supposed to leave it in terms of pi, this will be the answer. That means you just leave the pi there. That is called leaving your answer in terms of pi. Otherwise, you just put in the pi. Otherwise, you just put in the pi, and that will be your area. Okay, so if the question says leave it in terms of pi, then your answer looks like this. If not, your answer, you just work it out. But remember to label it. Okay, then what about the circumference? Circumference, in this case, I'm going to use 2 pi r. So if I'm going to leave it in terms of pi, I just need to punch calculator 2 times 14. So 2 times 14 is 28 pi. So if the answer is leaving in terms of pi, then this will be the answer. Otherwise, you put in the pi. Otherwise, you put in the pi, you got 88 centimeter. So if you look carefully, I'm still doing the label and the units. So label, units, label, units. If you didn't give the correct unit, you can get marks deducted. Okay. So the next one is we get the diameter. So the diameter is 56. So do not forget, how are you going to get the radius from the diameter? Okay, you divide by 2. So your radius is 28. The area, label it, will be pi r square. So usually my habit is I will just press the 28 square first. So this will be the answer if let's say you need to leave it in pi. Otherwise, you put in the pi that the question gave you. And remember your units. Okay. Circumference, 2 pi r. Again, I will press the 2 and the 28. So that will be the answer if you need to leave it in terms of pi. Otherwise, you put in the value of pi as provided by the question. Okay, so same thing happen. You can have algebra. You can have algebra for the area and perimeter. So just remember, whatever you're given, remember to bracket out. So in this case, the radius is in algebra. So remember to bracket up the algebra. So again, I'm going to find my area. Area will be pi r squared. So bracket up the algebra. Then you work it out slowly. Half x and half x. So half times half will give you a 1/4. X times x will give you a x squared. So this is the answer if you need to leave it in terms of pi. Otherwise, again, I'm going to put in my pi. Then you punch calculator. So you get 11 over 14 x squared. Don't forget your units at the end of it. The same thing is going to happen for the circumference. Two pi radius. Bracket it up. Okay, 2 times half. Look at the numbers. 2 times half gave you a 1. So 1 is like 1 pi x. So usually we don't write the 1. So you can leave it like this, or you leave it like this if the question is leave your answer in pi. Otherwise, you put in the pi that is supposed to be given in the question, and then remember your units. So that will be the basic area and circumference of circle. Okay. When it comes to semicircle, it's actually quite easy. Semicircle will be just half of the circle. But when it comes to the perimeter, it's a bit more tricky because let's look at why is it tricky first. So first of all, here I want to find the area of the semicircle and the perimeter of the semicircle. So first of all, think you know how to find a full circle. It's just half of it. So you can think of the area of semicircle as this. So the area of the semicircle is half times pi r squared. Because pi r squared is a full circle. So if you like half of it, you just multiply by half. But for the perimeter will be a bit tricky of a semicircle. The perimeter of semicircle will be a little bit more tricky. Because when we say perimeter, we are doing the outline. So we got this half the circumference to think about. So this is half the circumference. So it will be half of the circumference but I need to add the diameter because this is also part of the outline. So when we say parameter, that means it's all the edges. So the diameter is also part of the edges because it's being cut into half. So just now when you were doing the circumference, there's no issue with this. But right now, because you cut it into half, you got extra edges in your parameter. So where area is constant, you are just doing half of the circle. So if I'm doing an area, it's just half of the circle. So you can actually do it like this. You can leave it in terms of pi if the question asks you to, or else you put in the 22. In this case, it's not 22/7 already. In this case, it's 3.14. Then that will be 25.12. The parameter is the tricky one. You need the half of the circumference first. Then you must remember to add the diameter. The diameter becomes part of the edge. So you multiply. So you get 4 pi plus 8. Okay, it is possible that this can be the answer. This can be the answer if they want it to leave it. They want you to leave it in terms of pi. Otherwise, I'm going to plug in my pi. Then I press up. So again, I'd like to emphasize labor and units. Labor and units. So the same goes for the next one. In this case, maybe I save a bit of space here. The radius will be 15 divided by 2. That will give me a 7.5. So if I would like the area, it's just half of pi r squared. So usually I press the 7.5. The 7.5 squared, then multiply by half, I will get 28.125 pi. So this will be the answer if, let's say, you are asked to leave in terms of pi. Otherwise, put in the pi. Put in the pi the question gave you. And remember to units, to give the correct units. For the parameter, I will need half the circumference. That means the half the circular part. So I'll need half the circumference. And remember to add the diameter, because the diameter is 1h. So you need to add this and the circular part. Then that will be the full parameter. So I can cancel the pi. No, sorry, not cancel the pi. I need to cancel the 2. So I'll get a 7.5 pi plus 15. So that will be in centimeter. So again, this is the answer if, let's say, you are supposed to leave it in terms of pi. Otherwise, you put in the value of pi that is provided to you. Then you punch it up. So again, remember unit, labor, units, labor, units. So that will be the basic calculation you need to know first. So if you will need to find radius or find x or find certain things from circle, it can be a bit more difficult because the formula is not so direct like the one that you have done, triangle, rectangle, and so on.